Steve. Hope you're well, buddy. Good to see that the pricing thing was beneficial to you. It obviously, hopefully, just gives you a bit of a kind of clearer guide. I know a lot of people kind of go, "Oh, well, it's still only 12 grand," and well, I say to a lot of people, if you didn't have 12 grand, to have 12 grand's quite a sum of money. So yeah, hopefully that kind of obviously makes a bit. Hopefully helpful with your pricing going forward. So yeah, rate your week in terms of productivity a 9, which is always positive. Mr. Positive over here. Just feeling a bit more confident after having my first paying client last week. The images are good, and I feel happy charging more people now, which is good. With the photos uploaded, what is it you like most? The shoot this week was not great. The light was really tricky and the location was not as good as I thought it would be. I made the mistake of assuming the location would be good. The weather was shit and I expected sun. Not too much to ask when you live in Dubai. However, it was a practice shoot, so I was happy to at least see what I could get from it. Trainer and dumbbell shots. I want to try to get some trainer shots for something different, so I thought I'd practice. What I would say with this is, like, the great thing is you've learnt a valuable lesson there, and don't just think someone's going to be great because of like how it obviously looks with the sun. Obviously in the UK we don't get that all the time, so I often say to people, I don't go and check out the locations, I'll see what looks good on the day, because there's no point dragging someone around a venue when you don't know what it's going to look like. Obviously it takes a little bit of practice and knowing your abilities to do that, but at least you've learned quite a valuable lesson there, which is good. Right, so let's have a look. See, I like that. Like, you know, nice clarity on it, good editing on there as well. Like, that's a great shot for, you know, like a trainer advert, or, you know, that's kind of quite a nice little the shot that I really like that kind of, you composed it nicely. Yeah, I'd say that's quite a good shot. I like that. Practice and sharpness, a shot f1.4. Someone's getting good. And if you're smiling right now, you're getting too cocky. The shrug shot. This is not as sharp as I'd have liked it to be. My focus got him more on the bar on his hand, but I do like the action in the shot. Yeah, like, I wouldn't get over the top worried about something like that. Like, that type of stuff happens when you're shooting this type of thing. That, like, you know, I get shots all the time where it's slightly out of focus just because they, you know, they'll be leaning forward, and as they stand up he's leant back, so obviously like the bar is going to be in focus. The only way you'll learn things like that is to get the person to kind of do that movement standing up, let that happen, get the focus on it when they're stood at that point without the bar. So say go to that point, because at least then you know the focus is going to be sharp on him. But to be fair, like, that looks, I wouldn't even say anything about that. Like, it seems pretty sharp from my end. You know, if it looks all right on here, then it's going to look great online, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. And then the last one, where are we, this one? Well, let's move this out of the way. The dumbbell snatch image is I think needs more of an edit, but I like the positioning of the body and being low to the floor. I like the angle. In all the shots, I was low as possible to keep making look. Obviously, that's a great tip to make people look big. I'd say with this, possibly, like, you might want to crop it in real tight here, so then it pulls that out to make it a bit of a larger image. Or if you've got the top of his head, to cut this lot off and move it up a bit more so you see a bit more of his head. Either way with that edit, like, obviously I don't know whether this is a portrait you've cropped or whether this is how you've done it, but that's what I'd say with it. Like, your editing looks great. Like, it looks really natural as a shot, which is great. Like, compared to what we had before, you know, you're just picking out minor details and just improving a little bit, and that's better to work on than it is to overdo it and then suddenly go, oh, I've done too much. What I would say, possibly you could add a bit more like shadow in like triceps areas, like kind of just anywhere where there like might be a bit more like definition to be had, to just make him a little bit leaner. But they're the types of things that, like, they're just nitpicking at stuff, really. Overall, I think it looks great. I'd say with this one, just crop it down a little bit more, just so then it's like real tight on it, and it's kind of like quite powerful, like kind of like in the zone type shot. But yeah, mate, like, the lighting looks better. I mean, like, your lighting's got, you know, and your knowledge of the light looks so much better now. So there's definitely like massive improvements. If you could improve them in any way, what would you do? I'm not happy with these as I was with my images last week. Honestly, I generally don't think you've done bad here. What you might be able to find you can do, like, obviously it's not really like, none of these are blown out like white. The lighting in that other shot was just a bit brighter, really. Like, you're never going to get that lighting every day, so like don't expect to see it in every shot. Like the only way you're going to make this, like you could make it pop a little bit more, might like I say making a little contrast like curves adjustment, but I wouldn't go crazy with it. Like I think that's a really nice natural looking shot. Like I'd be very happy with that, so don't beat yourself up. But the experience was worth it, and there was a few challenges to overcome. Plus, he's very happy with the shots, and I have some interest on the back of him. So, mate, honestly, like you're doing good. So stop stressing. Scout on trip to the desert to look for location to try some sunset silhouette shots. Test shoot on Saturday with Layla, who's the first girl I shot back in October. Looking to try some new locations and different looks. Awesome. Like what I often say to people is like if they're on WhatsApp or whatever like that, get a whole load of images that you like together, share them in a WhatsApp chat. So at least then when you're there, you've got examples. Like you've got the things like where they like flick the sand. You know, they can always be like a good like hair flick shot. Obviously, like any athletic moves, obviously you're going to be on sand, which makes it a little bit tougher. You know, like you can do the press up where you come out of the sand and that flicks out the sand. Like you can do all sorts of bits like that. That would be definitely like. I'm looking forward to seeing the shots. So it's going to be interesting. What was your biggest challenge last week? Handling the light at the beach was hard, and I wish I had helped to hold a reflector. But to be fair, it was bloody windy, so not sure how I'd have got on that one. It happens all the time, mate. Like I've been out on shoots. I generally think you're being very harsh on yourself here. Like natural looking light compared to like what you were shooting back weeks ago. Like this is like a million times better. So like don't like you're going to have good weeks and bad weeks with this. Like I do, like I have great weeks and I look at it and go, what have I done here? But that just happens. So don't beat yourself up about it, mate. How many potential new clients have you reached out to this week? One for a shoot in Abu Dhabi, which I'm hoping to do next week. That's cool. If your overall feedback for that one. What's your goal for next week? Finish the edits for Sandra, who was my paid shoot. Get into the habit of posting more on Insta. So the end of the week I have with at least 5 images posted. Honestly, look, the best thing that you can do is try and like get the most out of your images. Obviously you're going to be shooting quite a lot of images when you're on these shoots. Don't, you know, like if you like a shot, ask the client whether they're happy if you post it. You could probably easily pull 10-15 shots from each shoot. Now obviously you don't want to overdo it, but at least having like a good regular few that you can go back to and then like post stuff, because what you've got to remember is there'll be the odd person that flicks back and goes, oh look, you know, they've shot with this person, whatever. But the more you keep posting, the more awareness you get. So the more awareness you get, the more likely you to get work. So don't over think about it. Obviously, if you're a photographer that's shooting full time and able to shoot every single day of the week, then you're going to have loads of content. I don't even shoot every day of the week, and yet I'm able to do it. So definitely just keep pushing away with that. It doesn't take long to post an Instagram thing. Like you can easily get like 7-8 images ready to go, and you know when you can start getting to the point of posting twice a day, that's when you start really seeing like your numbers grow. Is there anything I can help you? I want to ask about the number of images you give to clients. I told my client that she can have the other images from the B list from the shoot, and I will edit 15. So I've done this and she is happy with them. However, I'm thinking in future when I'm more established, what's a good number to give and should be charging for extra images I give even if they're not edited. So the way I do mine is I do it in 10 or 20 image packages. So they get to see the images afterwards and they get to choose their favourite 10 that will be edited, or 20 if they've obviously paid for it. What I then tend to do is say to them that it'll be like £10 per extra photo. Now recently I've started outsourcing all my editing, so it goes off to someone else and they edit it. And it costs me $5 per edited image. But then obviously if I've got a whole load of images to get done, if I spend over $300 or whatever it is, they get like 15% discount. So obviously that's the way I save money, by just doing a whole load at the same time. You've got to kind of see what works for you. Like obviously I used to offer people quite a few photos, and then obviously the way that you can kind of start pushing the levels of what you get is to start kind of obviously reducing that number and then start adding more kind of ones and zeros to your prices. All I would say at the moment is obviously think of it this way: for the rest of this year, if you've got a good level of like the amount of images that you're editing that you could then use as well, it's probably going to be beneficial for you in the long run. And then you can maybe like this time next year start reducing that down to you just get 10 images per shoot. 15 is not a bad number. I don't give anyone the extra images to edit afterwards unless they pay for them. You could do a package where you could say for an extra X amount you get all of the unedited images, and you just have to edit them yourself. I don't tend to get too bent out of shape on that, because people could see it and then they go, "Oh, I saw your shot, but it wasn't edited." And say, "Well, that's what they paid for." At least then you kind of establish yourself that if someone wants you, they need to pay for it. Everyone's going to have opinions, but like that's just the way things are going to go. I generally think keeping 15 is not a bad number. If you're going to go through your shoot and then send them like a list of like 50, 60 images and then they pick from it, that's a good way of doing it. I generally don't tend to, just purely because I want to get them over to the client as soon as possible. I do, however, make them aware that like if the image isn't good enough, or like let's just say it's not in focus, I will let them know, and obviously to choose another one. But like as I say, as time's gone on, there's less and less of that happen, but it still happens. So but I would say stick around that 15 mark for now, just because you get more content to use, you get more time to practice, people are paying you for it. I think it's a good way of having like another step forward to take, instead of having, I only give them 5, and then people are going to go, well, he's quite expensive. You'll still get some clients book you, but then you kind of don't get as many images edited, and then you're kind of going, well, actually I need more content to be able to post, and then you're going to end up editing them anyway. So I'd say somewhere around that kind of 10-15 point is pretty good anyway. Let's just aim to keep getting more shoots under your books, like first of all, like that's I think the key thing, and then from there we'll kind of start improving the kind of prices that you charge for that. I go along the basis that if someone pays for me for a shoot, it's £200 for the photo shoot and £100 for the editing. That way that I'm with them for 2 hours, so it's £100 an hour. Obviously, if there's travel costs, and I just sort that out afterwards with them. And then the editing, if I do it myself, it can take me about an hour. But if I pay $50, which probably ends up being about £35-40, someone does them for me, and I save my time and I don't have to do anything, and in 2 days they're done. I haven't got to think about it. So that's the way I've started doing it. But it doesn't just mean like if I'm not as busy, then I won't send them away. So but yeah, I hope that's all good, mate. I think you've been a little bit harsh on yourself with these images. I think they're great. The only other thing you're going to could start getting into, if it made it any easier to light them, instead of having the reflector, was to start using off-camera flash, which is obviously a new level of bits. But then you can obviously measure the background, see what's happening with that, and then use the flash to kind of pop that in and add a bit of extra light. But I think you're going to beat yourself up about nothing, really. I think they're really good images. So keep up the good work, mate. And let's keep this going for next week. See you later, man. Bye.